Hi everyone, a little bit early at the moment, just wanted to make sure that I was here for you so we can get this underway today. So as it says, this is a little live broadcast all about the changes of Facebook's new algorithm, how it's going to affect your pages, your business pages, and what it actually means for you. So just going to wait for some of you to appear because we did say we'd kick off at 2:30 and we're just a little bit early. Wanted to get on early because, and if you're here already and you're viewing, just seen someone come in there. If you're viewing this, I've started a little bit early so I could actually see how this new software works that I'm actually using at the moment. Enables me to actually work with the Facebook Live broadcasts a lot better than we normally would do. So be interested to see how this goes. Bear with me if it does go a bit strange. The internet is a bit of a Friday one. It's coming and going, and it's because all those kids coming home from school, I think, a bit early and on their PlayStations blowing the world up. So let me know who's here. Give me the thumbs up so I can see who's around. Any comments you want to add, do add them. I'll try and answer as we go along, but it may be a case of I do come back to you within this feed. So we're now just a minute away from when I said we'd go live, so let's just wait for a few more of you to come in. Now, this is going to be a really important 30 minutes just to talk through what I've learned this week and what is actually happening with Facebook right now. Having attended a London event, quite an interesting event, very big agency I went to, agency called We Are Social, turnover 13.5 million. So they were discussing the whole situation of how they saw Facebook algorithm change. But before we do that, let's just look at a recent quote that I found online when I did a little search, and hopefully you can see that just appear now above my head. So the algorithm change, what does it mean? Well, it really means that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to look at the usage of Facebook and improve it for us. That means that we're going to get better content, so I'm told, or so we're led to believe. And again, take everything that I'm talking about sort of in the context of early days. We need to test, measure, understand what's actually happening, because at this point, not all of us are still aware of how truly this is going to impact. But if we look at what's above on the screen here above my head, you can see that as they roll it out, what they want to do is show less content from businesses, brands, and media, and get more public content that you want to see. Now, that public content is going to be really the sort of content that's coming from family, friends, groups that you're involved with. So groups and the family content is really where it's going to sit, and you're going to have to work out as a business and with advertising how you can actually get yourself into that mix of the group content and family content. The whole process of this is really to draw us back together as friends and having better connection between us, which Mark Zuckerberg feels will actually take down the time that we spend on Facebook, wasting time looking at content that might not be particularly great content. You know, the type of videos that we sit there and suddenly get engaged with and start to watch and really have no real value, and posts that we constantly see. Plus, we're bombarded with sponsored posts. Now, I don't have a particular issue with that because we use that very effectively to help clients get more of what they want. So let's just give you a quick overview of what was going on this week. So I went along to We Are Social and the panelists. So we had some interesting players here. Leo Ryan from Spreadfast. Now, didn't particularly know a lot about Ryan, or Leo Ryan, and he had some interesting comments. But where I was more interested was with Peter Hennigan, who's the head of Lad Bible. Now, I don't know if you've seen Lad Bible posts. You will, if you're picking up on the feeds, it depends what type of content you're into. That particular content gets shared with me quite a lot. Now, we're going to come to sharing and tagging and where the impact of this sits. But Lad Bible produce a lot of video content. Now, video will still play a big part, but the video content you use and how you put it together needs to be structured in the right ways and thought about the right way, because quite amazingly that some of the high production video stuff will actually sort of de-index and not reach as far as it used to. So you've got to think about your video content, and stuff like this. Facebook Live is going to be really crucial. Now, I have one client, Triangle Nursery. Check out their Facebook page. That's Triangle Nursery. who have really gone into the process of doing Facebook Lives. Massive engagement. It has increased sales. It has increased traffic, and the engagement from their page is really good. So look at what they're doing. Watch every Friday. It's now around about 12 o'clock. We do a Facebook Live. Laura, who works in the business, does Laura Live Facebook straight out of the factory there at Triangle Nursery, shows you how to do bouquets, what they're into as a business, going down really well. So we come back to some of the video element. We had Rich Burgess, social media manager of Aldi. Now, the Aldi guy here, Rich, he really was going down the paid route. And obviously, as Aldi, big budgets, lots that they can do, they're really going to flood into paid. And I'm going to say now that is something we're still going to see, and it is going to be a strategy for a lot of the big guys who can afford big budgets. We've got to look at smaller businesses and some of us that perhaps have got budget challenges, how we're going to get around that. We had Lauren Davey, Head of Social Media and Display at Barclaycard Business. Now, this was really interesting because she's running the business side of Barclaycard and really working with the business-to-business element of what Barclaycard do. And she felt there was going to be some real challenges for them. And we're looking at other areas that they could focus on. They're using Twitter a lot, LinkedIn, and even Instagram. So they're going to look at other ways around the Facebook challenges and really see what happens. So an interesting panel. And you know, it really sort of made me think about in real terms. And here's a picture from the day, actually, just coming up on the screen now, so you can get an idea of the panelists up there on the stage and who they were and what they were talking about. And for me, it was an interesting day because I really actually gained no real insights or knowledge from that particular day that I wasn't already thinking about. And I think there's a few of you out now. I don't know if Richard Pond is on with us at the moment. He's probably got some really good views on how he sees the algorithm change. But let me give you an overview of where I am come Friday, having been to that at the beginning of the week, still working with it myself. The way that I see this panning out at the moment is we're definitely seeing the reach of business posts and advertising posts actually falling back. They're not as powerful as they were. So you're going to have to look at your content and make sure it's really good content. But here's the exciting piece. For us as smaller businesses and local businesses, local content will really start to come through. And what will really play a big part in getting through in good content will be the content coming out of groups. Now, I don't know if you're just particularly in my group here or you've come from the Hearts and Essex networking group, but groups with good engagement will actually really start to come into the feed of the information that you want to see. So if you don't have a group, think about starting a group up and how you're going to utilise that group. Now, it's not easy for every business to have a group. On the day when I was in the room and we were talking about this, there was someone actually from Lego, and the lady stood up there and said, you know, can we utilise the group element of Facebook? And the advice was definitely, you know, with Lego, it's a really big community. The group could talk about what they're building, how they find Lego, new pieces that come out. And for a lot of people, that would be quite an exciting group. But for Barclaycard, you know, hell, who wants to be in a group and talk about Barclaycard and payment issues, etc.? The way that they're going to really use social, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, and even Instagram to a degree, is actually to handle complaints, information that people are seeking, more advice. So again, look at your business model and how that sits with what you need to do online. A group like I run here, my digital discovery group, is all about giving advice, support, gaining some feedback from the people that are in it. What are your challenges? Make sure you post regularly in the group and I'll answer questions. And that's going to create good engagement for both of us. So groups are going to be very strong in the mix. Facebook Live, I touched on it just a few minutes ago in terms of what Triangle Nursery are doing with Facebook Live broadcasts and the engagement that they get. The engagement's through the roof, with what we do with Triangle Nurseries. They're talking about flowers, showing you how to do bouquets, and their sort of average engagement is anywhere between 80 to 120 people actually on the live feed. And then later on, you're looking at sort of around anywhere between, sort of 2,000 and 5,000 views of the live broadcast after. Now, people have actually got used to that particular broadcast. The client posts it as an event and boosts that event out there. So people are aware that it's coming. So it's getting back to the basics of like a real TV show. You know what days it's on. You know the time it's going to be on, so you start to lock into it, get looking forward to it, and make sure you're there and you get involved. So if you can do Facebook Live a little bit more and you can make it credible, engaging, give good advice, give support, talk about issues, use it effectively, and make sure you do it on a regular basis and try and advertise that you're going to be doing it. If you've got a group, put an event into your group that you're going to be doing it. Make sure people are aware that are on your database, that are in other groups. If you do this, you're going to pull people across and you're going to get a bit more interaction. And actually, it's a great way, you know, as I'm now in the office, sitting here in the boardroom, and I can connect with people without leaving, driving, wasting my time, which is costly. We can sit here, do, you know, some engagement, talk about stuff, and catch up with people. So that's really important to do, and a great way to do it. So look at your Facebook Lives, look at creating groups if they're applicable to what you can be doing. So what I'm also seeing from what I've learned this week is that the local news feed is going to be more important. How the algorithm is actually going to work in terms of understanding local news and who's relevant within a locality is yet to be sort of understood. But I'm going to watch what happens. So local news to local people is going to be more important than national news coming into your feeds. You will slowly see news, things that you were bombarded with before, slowly pulling back. Not quite sure how this will affect retargeting campaigns for paid advertising. I'm going to see how this slowly builds. And one of the big things that I'm doing with my clients and those that use Facebook and use any element, whether it be lives, whether it be advertising, is that we're going to monitor the actual impact of the next few months on their businesses. So if you're spending advertising, you should be keeping records right now of how your campaigns are doing in terms of impressions, how many times it's shown, that is, what it's costing you, the reach, the engagement that you're getting, if you're getting click-throughs to where you want to be. So you need to look at that, and each month, I'd recommend putting a spreadsheet together, and month by month, start to put the stats down and see if they decrease, increase, if clicks cost you more, because it could be a very dangerous process just to let your advertising keep running and the things that you've always done just run while something else is changing around you. So there are going to be changes within Facebook. Make sure the changes are not affecting you in terms of how many people see what you're doing, what you're paying to be seen, and how the engagement works. So again, advertising needs to be thought about. And what I took on board from the panelists in this week's London event is that they are going to throw money at Facebook. They're actually seeing it as any form of media now, and they're starting to look away from the aspect of social being a free piece of media. So in real terms, there's going to be some challenges for people that don't have budget to throw in, but for small localized business, for those with groups, there's going to be opportunities to actually probably win against the big guys. So I think the balance coming from Facebook still needs to be determined. We need to understand how paid advertising will work in terms of just good content. The big thing that was thrown into the mix as well, which for me wasn't rocket science, was don't produce crap content. Now, I still see it, and all due respect, there's lots of people who've got business pages, groups, etc., who are putting content in that just doesn't engage, doesn't add value. So the big thing I'd say is start to look at the content to date that you've produced and look at where you can take it. Look at pages, groups that are successful, and what are they actually doing? You know, the big thing you want to do is get people into the group or your page and get involved. So look at how you're structuring those particular pages, groups, and just your general information that you put out there. What we will see on a user basis, so let's move away at the moment from the actual business aspect of what we do and the groups that we could be doing with Facebook, but let's look at us as users. And really, Facebook is sort of broken down into the areas of users, advertisers, marketers, publishers, and obviously, stock and shareholders who are going to win out of however that performs. And some have actually said, very strange move by Facebook to try and reduce our time on there, to reduce the certain feeds and news that we're seeing in terms of what people are advertising to us, how that's going to affect their revenue. I'm convinced they know what they're doing. I'm sure they haven't done this without thinking about still making a good revenue stream and it not actually compromising what the business model is about and affecting shareholders. So again, all we can do is wait and see what develops. For me, from a personal point of view, and all of us as Facebook users, the people that we're connected with, our friends and the ones that we communicate a lot with and the ones that we get engaged with, on Facebook pages are really where the communication will probably increase and we're seeing more of. This is because Facebook wants us to get back to a better user experience, the experience that they started in the early days with, which was really about connecting, sharing, meeting new people, finding out what friends of a distance were doing, and just keeping that connection. Obviously, it's gathered momentum in terms of what we can share these days: videos, imagery, etc. But this is what Facebook really wants us to be back to. So it's going to be all about engagement, more on our friends, family type personal feed and information that we're putting in there. Secondly, business is still going to be able to use Facebook, but you're going to have to rethink what you're doing. You're going to have to look at your strategies and really the content that you put out there. And one thing that sort of came on my radar from sitting in the room on, I think it was Tuesday of this week, Tuesday, or was it Wednesday? God, the week flies. I think it was Wednesday, actually, is that videos still have a massive impact. And there was a feeling from the guy at Lad Bible that longer videos were actually doing much better than the short, sharp sort of shock method of 1 or 2 minutes. Now, I'm not totally convinced on that statement, because Lad Bible is totally video content driven in most of its posts. And some of the video content is good, it is very engaging, they're very clever with the audience they've got, and they might be able to pull out a 10-15 minute video and keep the engagement. Now, I still am a big believer in at the moment, and again, it could be proven wrong, and let's see what happens, but the sharper, shorter, real impacting 2, 3, 1 minute type videos is where it sits. Now, even high production videos are actually going to be bashed a little bit more. So this means that something shot by Aldi with millions of pounds invested, literally being an advert thrown into Facebook as you would have originally seen on TV, will probably not hit the audiences that it used to. They're going to have to pay a lot, I think, to get into the mix, to actually see less people. Now, we are seeing a decline in reach, so if you look at your business page, I'd recommend that you go into the stats within the back end of Facebook and start to look at how your page and groups are performing, and just see what's changed in say, the last 3 to 4 months, and then start to compare what happens over the next 3 to 4 months. Start to understand the reach and the effect that this algorithm change is having on you. And I would say that if things are on a downward spiral in terms of what you're doing, I'd start to look at the content, the strategy that you've got, and how you're engaging, because it is going to be about engagement. If you're putting posts out there and people are not engaging, I think you're going to find that really you're going to go out of the mix. So you've got to start to look at what's happening with your Facebook posts. So there are challenges ahead. I do believe that for certain business opportunities and certain groups, there's going to be some real benefits. The local news aspect, I'm going to be really interested to see how that works. I know there's a lot of local businesses that follow what I do, and I know that we're connected, a lot of us. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I do highly recommend that you get groups together. So I'm not sure if Catherine's watching now with Pop Connect, but the groups, and I would geographically take those down into groups, will be really important. So you've got groups for the specific areas that you're holding the networking in. Make sure you're putting lots of local news into those groups, getting lots of local people engaged, and that will be beneficial for you. And if you join the geographical areas that you're doing your networks in and pull them together, that will be beneficial for you. So it's that type of strategy that you've got to think about, and how it's actually going to impact on your business pages, and how it's going to impact on your business if you were using Facebook a lot for drawing leads to you, and trying to get more from what you're doing, probably with a mindset, may I say, of not having to invest. And yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, you are going to have to probably think about investing. Facebook advertising is still fairly cheap, it will change just like Google AdWords did. That was really cheap in the early days and you got great results. But if you're not doing any Facebook advertising, think about it. If you've got events going on, those events should be boosted, should be advertised. Try and push people into certain areas with a little bit of advertising. But then again, look at what's actually happening in terms of your reach and the impact in what you do. Measure it. You've got to measure. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, is that we can't control Facebook. We don't know what their real plans are. We don't know what this algorithm is about. So we're going to have to test and measure, and that's the whole plan of creating a spreadsheet in anything that you may be doing with Facebook and seeing what the impacts are. Look at what happens. Make sure you keep doing Google searches, looking at what people are saying, the feedback that's coming from these particular changes, because that's how I learn, and that's how we assist clients to get more of what they want from using channels like Facebook. So for me, it's going to be really about sucking it and seeing what happens. For anyone who's coming online or making any statement that they know what this is all about, I'd say you don't, because having been with leading players this week, they don't even know what they're doing in terms of what's next in terms of the strategy. How do we address this algorithm? What does the algorithm do? All they're seeing is that the reach of what they traditionally did is coming back, and they're not getting to the audience that they want, and the audiences are getting smaller. And the engagement level is getting harder to get that they want, and the involvement. So they've got to look at what their strategies are. So right now, it's really about testing, measuring, trying some different things that are out there, and really looking at what can happen to your particular page and group. So I'm sort of just going to veer off to the right of my screen here, because and I'll share this with you. This is a great piece of software I'm using right now, straight from my Mac. It's allowing to bring images into it, see the feed, and we can start to look at what's going on here. So local, not national, interesting, mate. That was from Steve Rogers. Yes, Steve, really going to be local. So try and get your content really local. Use local words, places within what you're publishing out there. Try and connect with more local, magazines, groups, Facebook pages. Try and keep it quite centric to where you want to be and work out from there. So if your radius of covering business is going to be 10 miles around wherever you're based, and Steve, I'm not quite sure where that is. I know your training facilities in Braintree, but work out from that area and make sure that you're really tapped into the local Facebook environment, the local news and what's happening. Let's have a little look at what else we're saying. Catherine, finding it useful. I hope you saw where I was coming from, Catherine, when I was talking about a group for every region and then making it very localised and then pulling it all together. I think that's going to be very beneficial for you, and should get you into the news feeds more, because it is going to be about trying to get into the mix, and we're being told family, friends, groups, community areas on Facebook are going to play a bigger part, because this is what we want to see. And the big thing that I find amazing, I'll be interested if anyone want to make a comment back on this, is that Facebook actually wants us to have less time on Facebook. It wants us to have a better quality experience, which is a really unusual business angle to take, to say, I don't want so much of you involved with my business. But when you are involved, I want to give you a really good experience. And it's always been the philosophy of Google to make sure that the search experience is the best it can be, that we see what we want to see and we see it quickly. So I think there's lots of this, thinking technology, algorithm changes, and obviously people, I think, are moving around between Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the guys that work there and what they do, and we're getting a bit of a cross-fertilisation of strategies, philosophies, coding, algorithms and attitudes of where they think this is all going. So it's going to be about really assessing what happens, and I'm glad that you've joined me today. For the people that have joined, what would you suggest for a company such as us that are targeting companies around the UK? That's coming in from Sharon Lee. Hello, Sharon Lee. Worked with Sharon Lee for a long time, and we've done some great work together, guys. Now, I think for someone that is targeting companies around the UK, it is literally going to be a case of, within your feed, trying to break down some more localised business news. So if you see something that's quite important on the business front in, say, Leeds, I would be trying to get involved in that particular thread and what that's about, and make some of your content relevant to it so it gets picked up again. Again, you're going to have to connect yourself with some of the businesses that are around the country. And for yourselves, I know you've got the page, it may be worth looking at the group aspect that talks really about branding, clothing. That could be a really good move into the group area that may help you with actually increasing that particular involvement with your business. So you've got a bit of a challenge, definitely, Sharon Lee. I know you're all good guys down there. You know what you're doing. You've had my backing for a long, long time. We've all worked together. So start to look at it, and definitely for you, very much about testing, measuring, keeping some data on what you're seeing right now. So I know you have great Facebook interaction, great online presence, great websites. I'd start to look at how all of that is linking, where the referral traffic's coming to the websites from in terms of Facebook. I'd start to look at how the posts are performing. I'd have a good look at your reach right now and see what's happened over the last sort of 6 months in terms of how that's changed and if you've still got the same sort of reach or it has declined. And then think about the strategies. We're always up for a chat. I don't know who's on the line there from Sharon Lee, if it's Steve or any of the other guys there. But I'll keep you up to date with what's going on. Again, as I say, it's something that we're really trying to find our way through and see how the impact's going to go. Perhaps one of the things to think about is definitely some paid advertising. I know you've done that before, so you might have to play that game a little bit and look at how you start to create more of a regional process in your content. So good question there from Sharon Lee. So we're coming up to nearly half hour of time for everyone here on a Friday. I'll say, is there any other questions that anyone wants to throw into the mix now? I will add that I'm going to keep my eyes on how this is panning out and what it's about for all of us, including me. Obviously, we're doing lots of test and measuring, not only on my own business and how my groups and pages work, but also how our clients have. So if we can, just keep up to speed with it, give you more information, we will do. We're going to have to look at how it reacts because, as I say, this algorithm change is in place and slowly rolling out, and none of us know the impact. To see someone from Aldi not quite sure how they're going to approach it and actually say that they saw it coming 6 months ago and still not in a place to particularly handle the change well is quite concerning to a degree, but also shows you the complexity and the challenge that we all have with using social platforms. I've always said it to clients and people that I know. When you're using party platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, we don't have control. Our content can go at any time, the game can change, and exactly what we're seeing right now with Facebook. So it is always going to be a challenge. Make sure to complement the challenges that you get with the third-party platforms are that your own platforms, which means your websites, are really in the right place and make sure that they're engaging with those that come to them. I still see lots of websites that don't work particularly well and are never going to engage people that don't do blogs, that don't provide downloaded information. You're going to struggle there a bit if you're not doing that with your website. Do you think we'll see less curated content? James, good question. I curate a lot of content and I recommend that clients do it. I think if you're strong in your particular group or Facebook page area, and you're actually doing the localized attack and strategy and process that's in place, whether you're taking that curation of news from a more localized or international global piece of information and putting it into your feed, I still feel it's going to have value because the piece, as long as it's relevant to your audience and those engaged with you, should be taken up and enjoyed, and you should be seen as an influencer in terms of giving good information, and I don't have to search elsewhere for that information. So for me, I'm going to carry on doing that process and test and measure what that's about. So curation of content is a really important thing because lots of people come towards me, gravitate towards what I do because I share content just like I am now. A lot of what I've gained and the opinion I'm sitting here giving today is drawn from sitting in a room with a big London agency with big players who we really discovered know no more than probably most of us, and they're key marketeers. I think what we need to do is just make sure as business owners, as people running groups or whatever we're doing on Facebook or whatever we do with Facebook, is that we know that there are changes, that we need to look at what we're doing and keep up to speed. Don't become complacent because if you do, I think you will lose out. So you've really got to watch what's happening on Facebook right now. So we're coming towards the end here. I want to say thank you for those that have joined me today. If you know of someone who needs to see this type of information, make sure you share it, invite them to the Digital Discovery page, because there's going to be a lot more Facebook Lives this year. I hope the software I've used today has worked for us. If any of you want to know what that is, just give me a direct message and I'll tell you how I'm doing this and what we're using. It's a great piece of software. As I say, I can suddenly click on a particular image that I have stored and it will show in the page as the image here from this week and the panelists. We can get rid of that. We can add another piece of content grabbed from Google so people can read that and see what I'm talking about. So if you've enjoyed how that's working today and you want to know more, just drop me a direct message and I'll tell you what I'm using and how I'm doing this. And I hope you've all enjoyed this 30 minutes with me. It's Friday, the weekend's nearly here. I'm hoping that everyone's doing well with business. If you're not, talk to me. Going to look at doing some events this year, actually, and doing some more catch-ups, because lots of change and things happen in this end and new learnings. And I want to share some of that with you. And it's not just all about social media and digital marketing. It's about mindset, reading, how you're learning, what you're doing, and how you're going to make your business better and you as a better person as well. So, look, go off and have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. One of the big things that I've learned this year is how to break my busy. If you're not doing that and understanding how to do that, please do, because for a long time I've worked very hard and been very busy and not always enjoyed some of the things around me, family, friends, loved ones, getting out a bit more, although I do get out a lot, as you probably see on Facebook. Yeah, there's going to be more of that time for learning and relaxing and chilling out. And that's come from understanding the break your busy and discover your creativity process. So thank you, everyone. We're about to hit 30 minutes. It's been great talking to you. I'll look at anything that's coming that I have missed. If any of you want anything, just drop a post in here or direct message me and we go from there. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you soon. It's Terry Carney signing off for now. Bye.